I wasn't supposed to find that link. It was buried deep inside a forgotten thread on a hacking forum I'd been lurking on for years, one of those places where anonymity wasn't just encouraged, it was a survival rule. My username was Byte Phantom, and I was obsessed with exploring the darkest corners of the internet. Not for money, not for fame, just for the thrill. I told myself it was harmless curiosity. I thought I'd seen it all. Red rooms, hitmen for hire, fake cannibal sites, you name it. I assumed most of it was either scams or staged until that night. The post didn't even have a title. Just a string of hexadecimal gibberish in a single comment. For those who want to watch what should not be watched. There was no preview, no thumbnail, just an .onion address and a lengthy string of characters that resembled a password. I hesitated for a second. I'd seen these kinds of things before, most turned out to be malware, Bitcoin traps, or elaborate ARGs. But something about this one felt different. It wasn't trying to bait clicks. It was trying to hide. Naturally, I clicked. It opened a black page. No branding. No flashy graphics. Just a single line of white text on a pure black screen. Welcome to room 13. My webcam indicator blinked for a split second, then turned off. I felt a chill run down my spine, even though I had long since disabled any permissions. Then the page updated. Stream starting in 3 o'clock minutes. Viewers, 2. At the bottom, there was a live chat window, completely silent. And then the second viewer typed something. You shouldn't be here. My heart skipped. I typed back instinctively. Who are you? No reply. The screen flickered, and the timer ticked down. 2:59, 2:58. My VPN was running. I had multiple security layers in place. But still, something felt wrong. I should have closed the tab. I should have shut everything down. But I didn't. I waited. When the timer hit 0, the stream began. The screen showed a dimly lit room. The walls were concrete, stained and cracked, with pipes lining the ceiling. There was a metal chair bolted to the center of the floor. No sound, just the hum of static. Then a figure entered the frame, a person wearing a featureless black mask, dressed in medical scrubs. Behind them, dragging their feet, was a man, no, a boy. Couldn't have been more than 17. His hands were zip-tied, and a blindfold was over his eyes. I stared, paralyzed. The masked person forced the boy into the chair, strapped his arms and legs, and placed a microphone in front of his face. The camera zoomed slightly. On the wall behind him, someone had painted in smeared red letters. The votes decide. Then the chat exploded. Pull his tooth. Shave his head. Break his finger. Cut off his ear. Dozens of users. Hundreds. I hadn't noticed the number climbing, now over 700 viewers. And next to each suggestion was a vote count. Real-time polling. I slammed my laptop shut. I didn't want to be part of this. My heart was racing like a drum. But then my phone buzzed. No caller ID. Just a text message. Leaving doesn't make you invisible, Ryan. I froze. That name wasn't anywhere online. I never used it on the dark web. Not in forums. Not even in my email. I felt my stomach sink. Another message. Watch till the end. Suddenly, all the lights in my room turned off for a second. Then flickered back. My screen came back on. I hadn't touched anything. The room 13 stream was running again. And this time, the chair was empty. Only a sign remained, taped to the wall behind it. Next show, tonight. Guest, you. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my powered-off laptop like it was a ticking bomb. My heart was still pounding from what I'd seen, what I'd almost participated in. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was some elaborate horror experience. Some twisted interactive performance art. But the look on that boy's face before the stream cut, that wasn't acting. That was terror. Pure, raw, and horrifying. At 3:17 a.m., I received a new message. This time, it was an image, taken from outside my apartment window. My silhouette was visible through the curtain. The angle meant someone had to be standing on the rooftop across from me, watching me. Right then. There was no caption. Just the picture. I dropped my phone, grabbed my baseball bat from under the bed, and stormed to the window. Nothing. Just the darkness and the hum of the city. But I knew what I saw. And they knew where I lived. The next morning, I left town. I called in sick, packed a bag, and drove 4 hours to a motel in the middle of nowhere. No Wi-Fi. No electronics. I even bought a burner phone at a gas station. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. No posts. No check-ins. Total radio silence. By sunset, I finally started to feel normal again. I sat on the cheap motel bed, scrolling through the burner phone's contacts just to make sure no hidden messages had snuck in. Nothing. Clean. I flipped on the small TV, desperate for some background noise. Static. Then the screen blinked. No cable. No HDMI. No antenna. But somehow, the screen turned black, and a single line of text appeared. Stream begins in 5 o'clock minutes. My blood ran cold. I turned the TV off. It turned itself back on. I yanked the power cord. The screen stayed on. My hands trembled as I stepped away. I knew then, whatever this was, wherever it came from, it wasn't just through my computer. It wasn't even about technology anymore. It was about me. And they were in control. The TV screen flickered again, showing the same room, concrete walls, the metal chair, a single overhead light. But something was different this time. There was no masked man. No victim. Just the chair, and a laptop placed on the seat. Then the screen zoomed in. It was my laptop. The same scratches. The same worn-out sticker on the lid. And a note taped to the screen. "We're watching you watch us." The camera panned back. Something was moving in the shadows behind the chair. I leaned closer instinctively. And then I saw it. A mirror. Mounted on the wall behind the chair, perfectly positioned to reflect whatever was behind the camera. And in that reflection, I saw myself. Not just someone who looked like me. It was me. The same clothes I was wearing. Same posture. Same dead-eyed expression staring into the void. The feed had shifted from voyeurism to possession. They weren't just showing me horror, they were consuming me through it. I stumbled backward, knocking over the motel lamp. It shattered. I rushed to the bathroom to splash cold water on my face. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. My eyes looked darker. Not tired. Hollow. Like something inside me had cracked open. My phone vibrated again. A new message, this time from an unknown number. Run. No explanation. No threats. Just that one word. I grabbed my bag, bolted from the motel, and didn't stop driving until the sun came up. My gas tank hit empty on a rural road surrounded by forest. No towns. No traffic. No signal. I was off the grid. Or so I thought. I stepped out of the car to stretch, trying to convince myself I was okay. That I was in control again. But in the distance, through the trees, I saw a light. Faint, flickering, like a projector. Curiosity got the better of me. I followed it. About 200 feet into the woods, I found it, a generator-powered screen standing alone in the clearing. No cords, no wires, no signs of human presence. Just the screen, and a single line of text. Tonight at 3:13 a.m. Don't be late. The time I first saw the show. The cursed hour. Then the screen cut to black. and reflected, and it was not me. It was the boy from the first stream. Smiling. I stumbled back from the clearing like something had struck me. That smile, it wasn't the face of someone who'd been tortured. It was calm. Controlled. Almost grateful. As if he had passed something on. As if I were next in line for whatever curse room 13 carried. I ran. I didn't stop until I reached the roadside and collapsed next to my car. I didn't know what to do. My phone was dead, there was no signal, and I hadn't seen another person for miles. There was no rational explanation for what was happening. It was like Room 13 had reached into the real world and dragged me inside its game. When I finally caught my breath, I heard something under the hood of the car. A soft, high-pitched mechanical whine. I popped it open, expecting a loose belt or a fan issue, but instead, I found something taped to the engine block, a small black flash drive, melted slightly from the heat. I hesitated, then grabbed it. Why was it there? Who put it? And why would anyone want me to find it? I searched the trunk for my old and used Chromebook, the only device I had that wasn't connected to anything important. I booted it up, disabled all networking, and inserted the drive. One file. No name. Just an icon, a red 13 in a circle. I opened it. It launched a silent video. Grainy. Low resolution. But what I saw made my skin crawl. It was me. Sleeping. Different nights. Different clothes. Different rooms. Motel beds. My apartment. Even my friend's couch when I crashed there last week. Someone had been filming me, always from the same angle, like they had access to the same invisible spot in every room. The final clip showed me sleeping in the very motel room I'd just fled. And behind me, standing completely still in the corner of the room, was a figure in black scrubs. The masked man. I slammed the laptop shut and threw up beside the car. This wasn't just some show I had stumbled across. It was a ritual. Room 13 wasn't a dark web horror stream. It was a trap. A virus. A presence. It infected people. Watched them. Broke them down until they either joined the broadcast or became the next one. And I was infected. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't even blink for more than a few seconds without imagining the masked figure creeping up behind me. I sat in the back seat, gripping the baseball bat like it would help, jumping at every sound in the woods. At exactly 3:13 a.m., a strange buzzing came from the flash drive still plugged into the laptop. I'd never heard a drive buzz like that before. The screen came alive on its own. This time, it wasn't a stream. It was a call. Video only. My face stared back at me. And behind me in the frame, someone sitting in my driver's seat. I turned slowly. Nothing. But on screen, the figure remained unmoving. Then the audio kicked in, just 2 words in a low, distorted voice. "You're chosen." I ripped the drive out, slammed the laptop closed, and got out of the car. I couldn't think anymore. Logic was gone. Fear had taken over. Every shadow in the trees felt like it was pulsing, like the forest was alive and whispering. And I wasn't alone. There were others. As I stared into the darkness, more lights flickered on in the woods. Screens. Monitors. Phones. Tablets. All projecting the same image, Room 13's concrete walls, the empty chair, and the countdown timer. 0:15. 0:14. 00:13. I ran. No direction, no map. Just away. Branches slapped my face. Roots nearly tripped me. But I didn't care. I just wanted out. Then the noise began. Laughter. Not human. Not joyous. A low, buzzing hiss of dozens of distorted voices, laughing like broken radios. From everywhere and nowhere at once. And the timer kept ticking in my mind. 10. 9. 8. I tripped and fell into a ditch, hit my head, and everything went black for a moment. When I opened my eyes, I was no longer in the woods. I was back in the room. Concrete walls. A single hanging bulb. In the chair. I couldn't move at first. I was strapped to the chair, wrists bound tightly with coarse straps, ankles secured to the legs of the metal frame. The light above flickered in a slow, nauseating rhythm. The room was colder than anything I'd ever felt, yet I was sweating profusely. My mouth was dry, my heart hammering against my ribcage. The walls were just as I remembered them from the stream, cracked, smeared with rust, and engraved with small, deep etchings, tally marks. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. A camera on a tripod stood 6 feet in front of me, its red light blinking. I was the new guest. No noise. No instructions. No masked figure in sight. Just the distant hum of some machinery behind the walls and the sense that I was being observed. I tried to speak, to scream, but my throat was too dry. Then, as if on cue, a speaker above me crackled to life. "Welcome back, Ryan." The voice was neither male nor female. Mechanical. Hollow. Like it had been pieced together from hundreds of stolen audio files. Familiar and foreign at the same time. "You've seen too much. But you've also proven yourself. The next show begins in 5 minutes. Prepare yourself." On the opposite wall, a digital clock embedded in the concrete lit up. 5 minutes. It began counting down. My mind spiraled. Was this how it happened for the others? That boy, was he just another viewer before me? Did he also stumble into this nightmare thinking it was all just some sick game? And what happened after the stream? The camera's lens adjusted, zooming in slowly. I could see its mechanical parts whirring softly. From the far right wall, a panel slid open. Out stepped a figure. It wasn't the same masked man. This one wore a different kind of mask, pale white, porcelain, featureless. But the build, the presence, the silence, it felt just as heavy. The figure approached with steady, calm steps, holding a clipboard. He walked up to me, examined my face, then lifted the clipboard and pointed to it. It read, "The audience chooses your fate." Then he turned and walked away, vanishing behind another wall without a sound. I was alone again, for a few seconds. Then the screen behind the camera lit up. The chat returned. I saw names flicker in and out, thousands of them. Some I recognized from that first night. Some with long, random strings of characters. Others, just symbols. One name blinked on and off repeatedly, spectator_000. The chat began flooding with messages. Start with his eyes. Let him speak first. Strip the identity. Name his crime. Votes began to register beside each command. Real-time polling. Just like before. And I couldn't do anything but wait. A smaller screen mounted beside the camera lit up with a new message. Tell them why you're here. I tried to speak again. My voice cracked, but words came out, barely. I don't know. I found the stream. That's all. I didn't mean to. Lie detected. A sharp jolt hit my wrist. I screamed. It wasn't electrical, it was burning. I looked down to see a red mark beginning to blister into my skin. A number. 1. I didn't know what it meant. But it terrified me. Another message blinked on the screen. Second attempt, why are you here? Tears welled up. I was curious. I didn't think it was real. I didn't mean to watch. I swear to God. Truth confirmed. The pain stopped. The votes shifted. Let him live began to rise, but so did break his will. Then a final command overtook the chat in a wave of identical messages, like someone had taken control. Show him. The room went dark. For several seconds, I was alone in complete silence. Then the screen behind the camera lit up again, this time with multiple video feeds. Every one of them was someone sleeping. Different rooms. Different people. Different cities. At least 20 faces. But all of them were familiar. My friends. My parents. My old college roommate. My ex-girlfriend. A former boss. My 6th grade teacher. They were all being watched. Then one feed expanded to full screen. It showed a woman in her mid-30s, curled up in bed, unaware. It was my sister. The screen zoomed closer, then closer, until it was almost at her face. Suddenly, a hand entered the frame from the edge of the camera, covered in the same black scrubs as the figure I had seen in the motel clip. No violence. Just a presence. The implication was worse than any act. I screamed. "Stop. Leave her alone. I'll do anything, just stop." The screen froze. Then the text reappeared. "Then you accept. Confirm, Y/N." There was no keyboard. But I knew what they wanted. I nodded. The camera in front of me blinked 3 times. Confirmed. The timer reset. Stream starts in midnight.
By the way, if you're into strange and unbelievable true stories like this one, make sure to subscribe. We drop a new story every single day, and trust me, they only get wilder from here. Now, back to it.
The countdown loomed on the wall like a death sentence, 24 hours. That's all the time I had left before, what? Before I became the executioner? The victim again? Something worse? The lights brightened slightly, and the straps on my arms suddenly loosened. No one entered the room. No visible mechanism moved. They just released. Cautiously, I stood up. My legs were stiff, trembling, but functional. The room around me felt larger now, like the walls had shifted. My eyes darted to the corners, no visible cameras, but I knew they were watching. Always watching. There were 2 doors. One was marked exit, a single glowing sign above a heavy metal slab with no handle. The other was unmarked, cracks slightly open, the dark beyond it pulsing like a living thing. I walked toward the exit door first. Predictably, it wouldn't budge. A voice crackled from above again, same distorted tone. "Exit requires proof of loyalty." Loyalty to what? I turned to the open door and stepped through. The corridor on the other side was different from the concrete room. It was narrow, metallic, almost surgical in its sterility. White LED lights buzzed above, casting long shadows as I walked. The air smelled like disinfectant and iron. I passed several rooms with thick glass windows, each one containing something worse than the last. Room 1, a man strapped upside down, eyes darting wildly, his mouth stitched shut with thick wire. Room 2, a woman pacing in circles, writing on the walls with her blood, over and over again. I clicked the link. I clicked the link. I clicked the link. Room 3, empty, but the walls were covered with photos of me. Childhood pictures, high school yearbook shots, screenshots from my social media profiles that I hadn't used in years. Photos I had never posted anywhere. They knew everything. At the end of the corridor, I reached a heavy black door labeled only with a red number. 13. Of course. I pushed it open. Inside was another room, this one a perfect cube, black walls, floor, and ceiling. The only source of light came from a floating tablet mounted on a stand in the center. As I approached it, the screen came alive with a single line of text. "Welcome, Ryan. This is your test." Another message followed. "To leave, you must become what you feared." Suddenly, the wall to my left turned transparent. Behind it was another room, nearly identical to the one I had been in hours before. In the center was the same metal chair. And strapped into it was a man I didn't recognize. Mid-30s. Rough beard. Tattoos on his neck. Terrified. A live camera was pointed at him. A microphone stood just inches from his face. And above him, a countdown began. 10 minutes. Then the screen on the tablet updated. The audience is waiting. You control the feed. A control panel appeared. It offered commands. Not fake ones like in a game. Real ones. Shock level 1 to 10. Blindfold on, off. Voice modulation, enabled/disabled. Audio, play subject's family screams. Cut camera feed, 30s delay. Initiate pain response, type, random. I stepped back, horrified. I wasn't just a viewer anymore. They wanted me to run the show. Suddenly, the tablet emitted a soft beep. A message blinked. You have 5 minutes to engage. Or the subject dies, and you take his place. Panic surged through me. My breathing became erratic. My hands hovered above the screen. I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to be complicit. But I also didn't want to die. Or worse, put my sister or anyone else I loved at risk again. The feed showed the man in the chair crying silently. I didn't know his name. I didn't know his crime, if any. But he looked just like I did on that chair, broken. Desperate. A puppet in someone else's nightmare. The chat window opened. Viewers flooded in. Let's go, new host. Push the button, Ryan. Make it scream. Don't be shy. My finger trembled over the first control, audio, play subject's family screams. I pressed it. A sharp screech echoed into the subject's room. The man flinched violently, eyes wide in disbelief. The camera zoomed in on his reaction. Viewers flooded the chat with laughing emojis and clapping gifs. The next control pulsed. Shock level 2. I closed my eyes and pressed it. The man spasmed. Just for a moment. Then slumped, breathing heavily. I fell to my knees. I was becoming them. Another beep from the tablet. Session complete. You may proceed. The wall turned opaque again. The door opened. And outside was the exit. Nathan hadn't slept in over 36 hours. The paranoia that once lived only in his mind had now burrowed deep into his bones, controlling every twitch of his muscles and the rapid, shallow rhythm of his breathing. His hands trembled uncontrollably, his mouth tasted metallic, and every flicker of shadow or unexpected sound sent him spiraling into panic. He had boarded up his windows with thick plywood, unplugged every electronic device, ripped the cables from his router and phone line, and yet, none of that mattered anymore. The darkness wasn't just outside anymore. It had infiltrated every corner of his existence, every crevice of his reality. It started 2 nights ago, during a restless bout of sleeplessness. Nathan noticed a breathing sound, low, slow, almost imperceptible, coming from somewhere close, but not outside his room. It wasn't the wind rattling the window frames, nor the pipes groaning in the walls. It felt like it was inside the very walls themselves, as if the house was alive and breathing. The inhale and exhale were steady, measured, and unyielding. Curious and terrified, Nathan pressed his ear against the drywall, straining to locate the source. The moment he leaned in, the breathing stopped. As soon as he pulled back, it resumed, soft and haunting. This pattern tortured him. Hours passed like this, his skin crawling under the weight of the unseen presence. Every attempt to call someone for help was met with silence or disconnection. His phone, once a lifeline, had become an instrument of dread. Then, at 3:13 a.m., the cursed hour, his phone lit up with a message on the lock screen. Did you enjoy the last show? His blood ran cold. The message was anonymous. There was no sender. No number. Just the question. He tried to reply, but the keyboard was frozen. Before he could react further, his TV, the unplugged TV, flickered on, displaying static. Slowly, the screen resolved into the familiar concrete room with the metal chair. But this time, it wasn't empty. There was a figure strapped down, silent and still. Nathan recognized the face. It was his own. The man on screen mirrored his every twitch and breath. It was a live feed, impossible yet undeniable. He screamed and dropped the remote. The static returned. Then, through the speakers, a low, distorted voice emerged, saying, "You can't escape the audience. You're the star now." Nathan's eyes darted to the clock on his wall. The minute hand was stuck on 13. The breathing grew louder, closer. Not from the TV anymore, but from behind him. He dared not turn around. Suddenly, the air in the room shifted, thickening as if something invisible was pressing against his chest. He felt hot breath on the back of his neck. A whisper, barely audible, rasped, "Join us, or become part of the broadcast." The lights flickered violently, and the chair in the TV feed began to glow red. Nathan bolted from the room, running blindly into the dark hallways of his apartment complex. Every door he passed whispered his name. Every shadow seemed to stretch out to grab him. And somewhere, deep within the static of the broadcast, the viewers laughed. Nathan barely remembered how he made it out of his apartment complex. His legs moved on instinct alone, fueled by pure terror. The cold night air hit his face like a splash of ice water, but it didn't calm him. Every breath was ragged, every heartbeat thunderous in his ears. He found himself on an empty street, deserted except for the distant hum of a lone car passing. He fumbled with his phone, desperately trying to call for help, but the screen was dead. No signal. No messages. Nothing. In that moment of utter isolation, he realized the nightmare was no longer confined to a room or a screen. It had followed him out. It was inside him. Nathan's eyes caught a large, cracked mirror in a nearby store window. Against his better judgment, he walked over and looked. His reflection stared back. But it wasn't his. The face was pale, almost translucent. The eyes were sunken, black voids, leaking shadow like ink bleeding on paper. His mouth moved, but no sound came out. It smiled. Slowly, the reflection raised a finger and traced the number 13 etched into the glass, an engraving Nathan hadn't noticed before. Suddenly, the glass rippled, as if it were water. His reflection twisted, morphed, and pulled him inside. Nathan gasped and stumbled back, falling to the cold pavement. But when he looked up, the mirror's surface was perfectly normal again. A notification pinged on his phone. A message from an unknown sender. "You're already inside, Nathan. Welcome to room 13. His phone vibrated violently. The screen flickered and revealed multiple live feeds, faces of strangers, friends, family, all staring into cameras, trapped just like him. And in the center of the screen, a countdown. 3 hours and 13 minutes. The cursed hour was returning. Nathan's blood ran cold. The whisper echoed again, faint but clear. "Smile for the audience." By now, Nathan was a hollow shell of the man who had first clicked that cursed link. His mind was shattered, fractured by weeks trapped inside the horror of room 13. He no longer distinguished between reality and nightmare. Time had no meaning. The cold concrete walls had become his entire universe. Every sound, every flicker of light, was a signal from the unseen watchers. He lived for the countdown. For the broadcast. At 3:13 a.m. sharp, the lights in the room dimmed until only the camera's red recording light remained. The chair was empty. Suddenly, the large screen flickered on behind the chair, revealing a live feed of a face Nathan recognized immediately. It was his own. The twisted, broken version of himself he barely knew existed. His own eyes stared back at him from the screen, hollow and lifeless. His mouth moved, but no sound came. His reflection mimicked every twitch, every blink, every shudder. The chat window appeared below the feed. Thousands of viewers poured in. The messages were a chaotic storm of commands, laughter, and taunts. Make him beg. Pull the trigger. Let him watch. He's ours now. Nathan tried to scream, but his voice was gone. The chair behind him began to glow faintly, red veins pulsing across its surface like a living organism. Then, the room temperature dropped drastically. His breath became visible in the cold air. A distorted voice echoed through hidden speakers. You are no longer the watcher, Nathan. You are the watcher. The broadcast begins. The walls shifted. What had once been solid concrete began to dissolve like ink in water. Shadows crawled along the floor, rising into shapes, faces, hands, forms that twisted and screamed silently. On the screen, his reflection began to change. His eyes melted into black pools. His face cracked, revealing a hollow skull beneath. Yet the gaze remained fixed, unblinking, accusing. Suddenly, the screen went dark. For a moment, there was silence. Then a new message appeared. Thank you for watching Room 13. Your subscription will renew automatically. See you next time. The chair's glow faded. Nathan collapsed. The world went black. When he awoke, he was sitting in front of a computer in a dim room. His username on the screen, spectator_000. A new message blinked. Welcome to the show. And behind him, a camera started recording.